French Institute in India is always so happy when it has great writers and great translators, because there is there a strong relationship with Indian literature and French book world. So, Deepti Kapoor, you have written a novel called A Bad Character. Would you mind to ask this very simple question about you? Who are you, Deepti Kapoor?
Well, hello. I'm a writer. I used to be a journalist and yoga teacher now, and I live in Goa. And Bad Character is my first novel. So that's a small version of me. Yes.
Michel, you've been translating for quite a long, and I would like to ask you the same question, Michel. As a literary translator, who are you?
Well, on myself, I'm not very modest, well, translator for a long time now, and I have the pleasure to discover great writers. That's a real chance.
This book, A Bad Character, is both a love story but also the portrait of a city, of New Delhi. I would like you to tell us a little bit more about New Delhi then and now. Michel?
Yeah, New Delhi then for me brings me back 35 to 40 years before, when it used to be a large village, I would say, because there was always a strong competition between Delhi and Mumbai, but Delhi couldn't compete. And now I'm in that huge, sprawling city, still very green, even though dusty, and difficult with its charm, but its difficulties.
Deepti?
Well, for me, I guess then and now would be about the turn of the century, which was 2000 when I was 20 and I was going to college. So it was a city that was still quite sleepy and dusty, as Michelle said, but it was a city in transition. So it was slowly becoming modern, and I witnessed that, especially with arts and culture and technology flourishing, lots of money pouring into the city. Gurgaon and Noida were very small little towns that were just beginning to come up. And now, I don't live here anymore, but my mother does, so I come back a lot, and it's become a city that I don't recognize anymore, even physically, because of the metro now. There's a ceiling to the city. Earlier I used to look up and it would be just the crows and the kites and the sky, and now you just see all the metro lines. So that has changed. It's become busier. It's moving forward and becoming this kind of big capitalist city. However, there's still many things that you recognize. So, it's the nature of cities.
To come back to your book, I must say that A Bad Character is very, very impressive. It's perhaps a debutant novel, but it's showing so much of an experience as a writer with a lot of style, and it's nervous, and it's a really beautiful book. Would you mind to try to sum up a little bit to help people know what it's about?
A novel about the voice of a young girl talking about her first relationship in Delhi with an older man who's returned from New York. She lives with an auntie over the river in East Delhi, and she meets this man in a cafe, and they embark on a relationship which in the beginning is very exciting, but ultimately becomes destructive. So it's a story about her relationship with the city and a transformative relationship. So that.
Is it a novel of a generation, you think?
Yes, I think so. Though I would say yes, but I would also qualify that with it as a very unique voice. That she does not represent her generation. Actually, she is one girl's journey in the city, because she doesn't talk for anyone but herself. I think this personal story and what the choices that the narrator makes are not very representative of, say, the choices a lot of people around her would make.
But perhaps also India now needs to be more precise
Yeah.
and we don't need any more generalization about what
Absolutely.
are Indian people. So
And I agree with you there because there's this idea that maybe only the West or only say the French write existentialism very well, and you're almost not allowed to write these stories. You have to always write the story of a particular type of person. The characters are, maybe you write a story about a woman who struggled and was a good girl, and in the end, still society was bad and things happened to her, and then we can feel shame. And that's her story, and there's so many narratives like that in India. Or you have the story of a essentially bad girl who makes wrong choices, but the thing is, there's a space in the middle for maybe a character who's unsympathetic and has quite a lot of options, but eventually ends up being reckless and making all these different kinds of choices. But you don't, and nothing happens to her in the end. She's not punished, she's not redeemed. There's no real message in the novel. That doesn't happen so often. You don't get that kind of novel.
as a translator, Michel, I presume probably there was some kind of special experience translating that novel into French.
It was a real pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
I've enjoyed it tremendously. And I just wanted to carry the story across to the reader and to be as close to the text as needed. Because that's my job, but as well to be true to the rhythm and the feelings that come out of the novel.
Rhythm, feelings, I think they are the two key words of bad character, un mauvais garçon in French. My last question is for you, Deepti. Are you currently working on a new project?
I am. After a lot of false starts and working on things that didn't work for some reason or the other, I'm finally writing a new novel. I can give you a little bit of what it's about. An American woman comes to India on a yoga retreat.
Does it mean anything to you to be translated into French?
Oh, it's a great honor and privilege, and because my influences, I love French cinema and literature. So when my agent said that you got a very strong positive response in France, I was so extremely pleased. And then of course I met Michelle, and everything fell into place. So yes.